All right, ladies and gentlemen, there was one guy, and I think he was a gay guy, and he was talking about how a lot of gay men will take someone and say, oh, they have feminine qualities, or they're this, or they're not as nice to their girlfriend, or whatever. And they take that and think, hey, maybe there's an opportunity here. Sometimes the person really is a heterosexual person just going through certain moods or certain things, or they're bi, but they're interested in dating a woman at the time. So they're doing a certain thing because they're, or maybe they're just 100% straight. Like if you're bi, that's one thing, but if they're 100% straight, that's another. But so they're 100% straight, but they obviously are going to have flaws in their personality, whatever. But you don't read that, like this guy was saying, you don't read that as that. You don't think like, oh, this person likes me, or they have feminine qualities, so they must be gay. A lot of times gay men will do that, and it's not wrong. It's not necessarily wrong. I mean, if you and they might actually have a bit of gayness in them or whatever, but the whole point is not to act on it necessarily. Like, and especially if they're with their girlfriend, you can think they're gay, you can think whatever, but they're busy with their girlfriend. They're not interested in you right now, or they're not interested ever, right? They're not. They're trying to be. They're trying to have a conversation with their girlfriend. They're not really into you. They're not really, And instead of being like, oh, I'm going to assume they're gay or assume this, you can do those things, just not act on them, right? But some people will do those things and they end up dating someone. So it's not like it's set in stone, but it's like that fine line where you're like, well, if I hit on this person, will they respond well? And so sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, right? But you have to be careful and you have to make sure you're making realistic judgments and you are responding well. Like a lot of times there's some guys that are just really actually straight and they might not seem straight, but they are, so you can't just assume that. But I think, to just never assume someone's gay is always, you can never, I mean, a lot of people will date women and they'll come out of the closet years later, right? So you can't always know, but I think the point he was trying to make was to not do it as often and not to be like inundated with like, oh, this person likes me, this person is, if they're not showing any signs or they're not doing anything towards you, then maybe it's about time you went for someone that did, right? But that doesn't mean they're never going to like you, it doesn't mean they're never going to date you. It just means that at the time it really seems like it's not really going to happen. I think for a lot of gay men, it's really kind of like something that they've been like, because a lot of gay men will know that they came out later, or they know that they dated someone that was straight apparently or whatever, right? So they might think, hey, this person might be gay. And I mean, I've heard so many stories where someone was straight originally and then they dated someone later on and they ended up being gay. And so, you can never be too sure. But I think, well, yeah, so what I was going to say is, I think that that person making that statement, I mean, it's not like you can have your heart set on someone and if they're going to be straight their whole lives, you're not going to worry about it because you shouldn't worry about it instead of thinking they're going to fall in love with you. But it's not like it never happens, right? I think it's really kind of like something you can never really, it's not like you can really have your heart know for sure. So, but instead of torturing yourself being like, oh, they like me, they like me, they like me, instead of doing that, be like, they may like me in the future, but right now they clearly seem preoccupied, and I'll go for someone that cares, right? Instead of being like, oh my God, they're totally gay, they're into me, blah, 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 right? This goes for lesbians too, right? Like a girl might be very giving signs, but she might not be interested, right? So I think to claim that you can never be assuming they're interested is something that is false, because I think some people really have a hard time coming out, so they don't really want people to think that they're gay, so they do everything they can to protect themselves. But I really think that's a very negative viewpoint, because I think some people really do turn out to be gay. But I think to do that with everybody and to think everybody's gay, and to think everybody's, maybe that's wrong. But I don't know, it was a good valid point to some extent, because you shouldn't have to worry about someone being interested in you if they never will be. But you shouldn't be like discounting someone that might eventually be interested. So it's a debatable topic anyway. Bye now.